What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we have a review of Carcass and their new album Torn Arteries via Nuclear Blast Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. The UK purveyors of grindcore and melodic death metal are back once more, finally following up their critically acclaimed 2013 comeback Surgical Steel with this 7th full-length effort. With the title referencing an old 80s demo created by original drummer Ken Owen, the press release promises Torn Arteries to be a modern bookend to an impressive 30-year career. Scalpel Blade, Under the Scalpel Blade, not counting the B-sides from the EP, was one of the earliest samplings we got from Carcass on this one, and to be honest, it's just okay. It has an interesting multi-textured approach with lots of different riffs on display, but the end result ends up feeling a little bit unfocused, if you ask me.
Move this man!
But don't get me wrong, it definitely gets my head bobbing for that big plotting part. I also really dig the final third's wicked soloing and grindier parts, get used to that. But when it comes down to it, there are even better songs worth showcasing that I'd much rather talk about. Dance of Ixtab in particular really put a smile on my face early on with its undeniable groove, rock and roll solos, and even a touch of cowbell for good measure. That opening build with the interplay of the drums and guitar really gets me stomping my feet every time. Add Jeff Walker's always disdainful snarls to the mix and it is lightning in a bottle. It's just a banger of a good time and a well-composed one at that, easily among my top tracks. The Devil Rides Out was another fast favorite, driving ever forwards with methodically chugging palm mutes like hooves on the desert sand. Also, the layered melodies on the chorus deliver a certain Middle Eastern vibe and mysticism that got me thinking about the Pazuzu scenes from the opening of The Exorcist. Paired with the great pace changes and powerful conclusion, this one is going to knock you on your ass. Eleanor Rigor Mortis, which I'm guessing is a play on the Beatles classic Eleanor Rigby, is anything but the mournful strings and despairing vocals of that song. Instead, we get a straight thrasher of an intro grinding us to dust before transitioning into another sludgy groove complemented by an infectiously noodling recurring guitar hook that sounds like something off of one of Death's later albums. Please explain, for what was it worth? Kelly's Meat Emporium was another single getting closer to release, and this was the one that I connected with much more. Great riffing and adrenaline-pumping D-beat all over this one, and same goes for the incredible shredding on the titular opening track for that matter. Another balls-to-the-wall ripper in the style we've come to know and love. Carcass even admitted that the working title for this one was Stock Carcass. This is followed by In God We Trust, which already starts off strong with all of those same Carcass tropes, but manages to elevate itself up even further with some serious parting of the clouds guitar soloing, and even a few fun little clapping sections. I'm guessing to go along with the whole, probably cynical church vibe. And going into the ending, Wake Up and Smell the Carcass and the Scythe's Remorseless Swing are a great 1-2 punch to close things out, with the former really giving that runner's high with its opening start-stop riffs and craterous drum fills, and the latter's foreboding church bell signaling the inevitable embrace of death for us all. Now, if there was one track I was skeptical of going in, it was certainly Ripping Sonic Torment Limited. Carcass are a lot of things, but masters of progressive songwriting who can tackle a 10+ minute epic has never really been one of them. I mean, they've had their moments, especially on Necroticism, but even the recent 6-minute The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue from the Despicable EP ended up feeling pretty repetitive. That said, I will once more admit when I am wrong, and I was so fucking wrong. I mean, it's still no profound Opeth or Gojira masterpiece, but they fucking rip and tear their way through this thing in a way that kept me engaged all the way through. The changeover in the middle is especially awe-inspiring, with this chill little jazzy oasis acting as the perfect reprieve before Carcass fully doubled down for an even more pummeling second act. I suppose the best comparison would be something that could have fit in on Master of Puppets, except with death metal vocals instead of hey,
you know, Metallica, you know, yeah.
or once more a touch of Death's later albums like Human or The Sound of Perseverance. My apologies to Carcass for ever doubting you. Clearly your songwriting and instrumentation is aging like a fine wine. And on a broader note, I apologize for doubting this album at all. At nearly an hour in length, I love almost every second of it. Even the parts that I don't love as much are well above average, but honestly, this thing is 99.9% pure certified banger. Turning to my scales, I give Torn Arteries a 10 for enjoyability. It's every bit as enjoyable from start to finish as Surgical Steel and even Heartwork, with time possibly being even better. I give it a 10 for musicianship. This thing is packed with a lot of great performances from across their past genre spectrum, and then woven into some of their best songwriting to date. And can someone give me a final count on the solos in the comments? And I give it an 8 for innovation. It's not the most wild and new thing in death metal, but I'd say for a band decades into their career, it still represents yet another solid step forwards for their sound. So a 9.3 overall and a well-deserved A for Carcass and Torn Arteries. But don't go anywhere, check out the Carcass album tier list and my favorite death metal albums of 2021 so far. Let me know which of their albums is your favorite down in the comments, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.